Thank you. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first webinar we have for convention this year. Really excited to have y'all tonight. We had a lot of RSVPs. Really excited to have y'all here. I think that's a really good barometer for how excited folks are for convention, and we want to kind of fuel some of that excitement even more, right? So the purpose of this webinar is really to tell you a little bit more about our programming, about the convention itself. Also, assume that you might not know anything about convention. We're going to start from there, assuming some folks might be coming to convention for the first time this year. I know a couple of faces in the Zoom right now. So I know some of y'all have been to many conventions, but I assume there's a couple of folks here who have never been to a convention before in the past. If you haven't, welcome. This year is going to be really exciting. And we want to make sure you guys are equipped with what's going on this year. There's a lot going on this year. We're really excited to share that with you. So that's kind of the purpose of this call. Before we go any further, I do want to introduce our panelists today. First off, I'm going to start with Naomi Ishisaka. Naomi, can you introduce yourself for our audience here today?
Yes, hi everyone. Great to be with you here. So my name's Naomi. I'm the Seattle chapter president and been working with Rachel and Frank on convention. My day job is at the Seattle Times. I'm the assistant managing editor for diversity and inclusion and the social justice columnist. So it's really great to be here. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. And Rachel Ramirez.
Yes, thank you, Frank. Hi, everyone. Lots of familiar faces here. My name is Rachel Ramirez. I'm the co-chair for convention this year alongside Frank and Naomi. I am also the co-director for Young AAJ, which is AAJ's Young Professional Journalist Network. And on my day job, I am the climate reporter over at CNN.
Thank you. And my name is Frank B. I'm the senior vice president at AAJ, and I've been working with Naomi, Rachel, and AAJ staff to put together this convention. Really excited to share more of it with you all. A big reason why we're also having the webinar tonight is because early bird registration ends on June 19th. That's next week. If you want to save, I don't know exactly how much, it's quite a bit. It's a good chunk of change on registration. Get your registration in by June 19th. You can register at aaj24.org. We're obviously having this programming webinar tonight just to get you over that hump. If you're on the fence about it, if you have to take some information back to your managers or whomever to get you over that fence to register for convention, the reminder again is early bird registration ends June 19th. It's a really good idea to get your registration complete by then. And we'll talk a little bit more at the end of how to register if you're not sure. Rachel already dropped in a link, aaj24.org. That's the website. We can talk a little bit more about how to register and also room block at the end of this call too. Let me encourage y'all too, if you have questions, drop it in the chat as well. We'll have some time at the end to answer any questions, but please feel free to drop in questions into the chat as we go through this webinar tonight. So very quickly, I just want to go over a high level overview of what we're going to cover tonight. We're going to first start off with some just really high level convention details, just where it is, things like that, what you can expect. Break down a few of the days of convention so you know what to expect, what Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and what the differences are those days. We're then going to dive into some programming highlights. Naomi and Rachel are going to share some of their favorite programming highlights, talk about some social and networking highlights as well. We'll talk about registering, room blocks, and then we'll also talk about finally another one of these webinars that we're going to have in July, a couple weeks before convention itself, to really tell you then about how to prepare for a convention. If this is your first time going to convention, if you don't know what to expect, that's also going to be a really good webinar for you to join, to listen, and participate, just so you know and you're ready to come to Austin. Okay, so with that said, let's jump into the high-level convention details. The thing that we always have with every single convention is a theme, right? And I'm going to have Rachel talk about this year's theme. Rachel?
Yes, thank you, Frank. If you follow us on socials and you read our newsletters, I believe folks who went to convention last year, AJ members, and people who have already registered for convention has probably seen this theme around. But our theme this year is meeting the moment, and I should probably memorize this because I've said it a ton, but it's meant to really recognize that, despite tough times, our work as Asian American and Pacific Islander journalists is more important than ever. And we really encourage attendees to be, fully present as we gather in Texas, especially during an election year, and really to engage with what's happening right now. There's a lot happening in our industry, in politics, and in society. So meeting the moment is our theme for this year.
Yay! I think it's a great theme. It's really after where we are in society as well as in AAJ. So meeting the moment is our theme, and you're going to see that really reflected through our programming as well. Naomi, I'm going to kick it to you to talk a little bit about where we are, what we can expect as in terms of like who else will be there, and possibly what sponsors or exhibits might be there as well, Naomi.
Great. Yeah, you cut out a little bit, but I think I caught what you said. Yeah, so this year convention is going to be in beautiful Austin, Texas. So I'm excited about that. I've never been to Austin before, and this will be my first time. Although, as you probably all already know, it's going to be really hot. But luckily, we are going to be in the Hilton Austin, which is going to be beautifully air conditioned. My understanding is that this hotel is very large, especially compared to other AJ hotels, because everything is bigger in Texas. So they're going to be, if you've been to conventions before where you're like, oh gosh, this room is so small. My understanding is that these rooms are large and there won't be that kind of space crunch that we might have had in cities where it's a little bit tighter and the hotels are a little bit smaller. So that's a really nice perk, as well as the fact that there's tons of, as I haven't been there, but I've been told there's tons of great food and lots to do in Austin. It's a great music town and great cultural town. So I'm really excited to go. And I know folks from the Austin or from the Texas chapter are really excited to show us around. So it's going to be a really fun time.
And then can you tell us a little bit about how many exhibitors or sponsors that we anticipate to have at convention as well?
Yeah, we're expecting about 1,500 attendees in our Austin convention from AJ, and then we're also expecting about 80 exhibitors and sponsors, which is really exciting. There'll be, as if you've been to convention before, you'll know that there's a expo hall that you can, look for jobs, get free stuff, connect with potential, future employers. So it's a really great opportunity to network and get to know some of the folks that make AJ tick with their support and their care for our members.
Yeah, and 80 sponsors a lot this year. That exhibit hall is going to be really great this year. As Naomi said, a lot of free swag, but also a lot of networking and connections too. So it's going to be really good to see everybody really showing up for Texas this year. Now I want to kind of go into the breakdowns of the day. So as some of y'all who've been to convention before know, convention is really Wednesday through Saturday night. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And if you've been to convention in the past, every single day is kind of strategically built on, either programming, mixers, gala, other things, right? So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm going to have Rachel talk about kind of the breakdowns of each of those days. Rachel?
Yeah, so kind of mirroring from past conventions, we're going to kick off Wednesday as people trickle in. We're going to have a lot of training heavy sessions. So how to get data from websites, PDFs, and other things. We have our first AI session scheduled for Wednesday, and really AI is going to be, we heard y'all from last year. Two of our AI sessions from last convention in DC was really overflowing. So this year we're going to have a lot more AI sessions. And so the first of our AI sessions is going to be on Wednesday. That one's going to be kind of an introduction overview, really, for that will tee us up for the rest of the week. And then we have our first timers orientation on Wednesday as well, opening reception, things like that. Our expo hall will also open on Wednesday, I believe. And then Thursday, Friday is really a lot more of programming. I will say Thursday there will be a huge block for our big sponsors like CNN and NBC for their day-long workshops. If you are one of the people who applied to CNN or NBC workshops, you're gonna have it's tricky because like a lot of people don't know this, but if you get accepted to those workshops, you might have to miss a lot of the concurrent sessions that day. So if you're in the CNN or NBC, I believe ABC has one, or ABC might be on Wednesday, workshops, then you're gonna have to miss a lot of the sessions, concurrent sessions on Thursday. So just a heads up on that. But our programming continues on Friday, on Saturday. And on Thursday and Friday, we also have mixers. After the convention, we have mixers from chapters. So wherever you're based, like we have New York chapters, DC, Seattle, and all that. And then our AG chapters, I believe, Young AJA, I'm the co-director for Young AJA. So we're having one on Friday alongside the other affinity group, News Nerds. And then on Saturday, we have more programming and in the morning, and then in the evening, we're going to have our gala keynotes, and then we'll wrap it up as always with karaoke. And be sure to practice those voices because karaoke is always the best part of convention.
It's a good way to wrap it up, right?
My
Good way to
opinion.
wrap up. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Rachel. And I'll say too, opportunity cost is a real thing at convention. So just kind of know, as what Rachel was saying, it's hard to attend everything. And I think a lot of folks, if you've been to a lot of conventions, especially AAJ, got to be really strategic with what you're going to and when and how you're going to make it here and there, especially with mixers, but also with programming. And also, just one other point to the AI thing. We did hear you last year, right? And I think why we also have a lot of AI programming this year is because a lot of the thought leadership that's leading AI and news are AAJ members. And we're really making a strong case to showcase them this year at AAJ. Okay, so that's going to be really exciting. I know Rachel and Naomi are going to touch on that a little bit more when we talk about programming too. Okay, so let's dive into programming. Naomi, I'd love to hear what are your two favorite panels? I know two and your favorites is not easy to pick, but can you do it? And can you share
Yeah,
some of your favorites?
I thought about this because that is it's like picking your favorite child. There's so many great panels and there's such a broad range of topics. So it's things that are, things that you need to know to do your job, but then there's also things about the broader kind of world of journalism that we need to be thinking about. So it's just pretty much something for everyone. But for me, I'm personally really excited about the panel on covering undocumented immigrants and how to do that better. I think that's an area that I know we all can always learn how to improve our coverage, and I know I certainly would like to know more. And then the other one that I was thinking about that I'm really excited about is the panel on covering the war in Gaza. I know this is something that we've, all been thinking about for 8 months now, but having a conversation from AJ folks on this topic, I think is going to really add a rich dimension that we might not otherwise see in other forums. So I'm really excited about those two.
And then Rachel, what about you?
Naomi took the two good ones too, but I will say one of my favorites, and I'm biased because I also helped put this together, is, it's an election year. We need to have a session on presidential elections. And one of them is really this on the road to 2024 elections. What have we learned from the 2016 and 2020 elections? Because, this year's presidential election is, again, deja vu and the stakes are high. So we're going to have some A+ star, A star list panelists in that session. The other one that I wanted to bring up is this year again has been tough on a lot of us, but a really exciting session that we have is, Life After News, true stories of career pivots and non-journalism paths. One of the speakers that we have was a former USA Today journalist, and he's now kind of founded this, restaurant in kind of a pop-up restaurant that's kind of telling a story history of, Filipino colonization. So it's really, bringing that storytelling into this new career path that you never thought would happen if you had not left journalism, or if things would have worked out a different way. And then that's just one session that I feel like would be exciting for a lot of our members here. Yeah, I have so many others, but just keep an eye out in our newsletters. We've been teeing up and giving some sneak peeks on a lot of our programmings and sessions.
Right on. Yeah. Thanks for mentioning the newsletter. We're kind of rolling the programming release out. So every single newsletter that comes out, there's a bit more information about who we locked down as a speaker, right? I think there's one coming out tomorrow, right? We saw a preview of that today. More announcements coming out through the newsletter that's weekly at this point, and then also about the sessions too. So both speakers and sessions are being announced basically on a weekly basis through that newsletter that you can sign up for as a member. Okay. I think they're automatically signed up as a member if I'm correct about that, right? So, okay. So a little sneak peek of the programming there, especially what our co-chairs are excited for. I also wanted to, again, flag kind of the AI panels. The way that we're structuring our AI panels is really, again, to leverage the thought leadership that we have from our members. And the panels that we have right now really are holistic of AI in general. So we have one panel that looks at AI holistically, the macro picture of how it's affecting not just news, but everything else, right? So it's a macro view of AI, then also a micro view of how to apply it to your newsroom, and then the third session about the ethics. So we were very strategic about that type of programming to make sure that we're not just talking about how to apply it, but also the ethics and kind of the longer view of it as well. So that's something to look forward to. And again, we're really leveraging and bringing in the thought leadership within our membership for our AI sessions this year, as we did last year too, but just a little bit more this year, which we're really excited to have. Okay. Another event that was really successful last year that we're looking to bring back this year is our book event. Rachel, let me kick that to you to talk about.
Yeah, I believe, Selena Gore, who is one of our CPC Convention Programming Committee members, is also here. So I'm just going to credit her for helping out with last year's and also this year. She's been really helpful on that end. But really, we're working in parallel with Selena for a potential book pop-up with a local bookstore in Austin. And I believe we just closed the call for books. And Selena, feel free to hop in if you have anything to add. But we're also kind of in the process of building kind of mini book talks with some of our authors, our AJ members / authors. And we should know more by the end of this month. I want to kind of give a chance for Selena to maybe hop in if she has anything to add.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this year's book talks again and the book pop-up. We got a really great showing of people that stopped by in the convention hall and saw all these books that were laid out and picked up their next read on their way home, or maybe a gift for somebody. So we got a great variety of books again this year, and we are also putting together our book panels again. If you remember, we just had like a one-on-one, a moderator plus the author talk about their books, and they're both books that have already been released or are going to be released in the coming months. So we just locked in one author, and I'm really excited about them. But you should definitely look out for it again this year when you're in convention on the program. And I think there might be plans to do the book pop-up Thursday and Friday this year. Last year we just had it Friday, but we're still trying to lock in those details.
It's so exciting because I also last year I got a chance to meet some of the authors. They were there signing the books live.
Yeah. We're planning the book signings right now. I'm really excited.
Perfect.
Yeah, great way to support the AJ authors that come, and yeah, it's just really exciting to support the work they put out there.
Yeah, I remember the scene last year. There's like a long table and there's just stacks of books, and it's a beautiful sight. Also, it always amazes me to discover how many published authors, future published authors that we have in our membership. And I think this is a great reminder and a great moment to celebrate everyone's accomplishments. I'm writing a book is not easy. Reading a book is hard enough, I think.
Yeah, which Frank, maybe it's a good time to also mention another session that we have is, from journalist to storyteller. So it's how we could, the path to being an author as a journalist, because we do have the same skills as journalists to be authors. So we're gonna have that session as well.
Great flag. Yeah. Very good. Get inspired from the book pop-up, go to the session. So,
Mhm.
okay. So that was a bit of the programming highlights. I know a lot of us are excited for the programming. We're also excited for the networking and the social elements of convention as well. So let's talk about that for a bit. One of the things that we always want to make sure is folks who attend convention for the first time feel comfortable and they know how to navigate convention, because it can be an overwhelming experience, right? There's a lot of people. Naomi was saying there's going to be 1,500 people, over 80 exhibitors. How do you navigate it? So we have a first timer orientation. I will have Rachel talk about that.
Yeah, so the first timers orientation, as I mentioned, is going to be on Wednesday afternoon, and it's really a great way to get an introduction to convention if you've never been before, because again, it can be overwhelming, and it's also a good way to meet a lot of people. I remember one of my most unforgettable memories is after the pandemic, after virtual conventions in LA, Young AAJA hosted the first timers orientation in Los Angeles, and the room was packed. There was a lot of first timers there. It was literally overflowing, and the way the room was positioned is literally right next to the pool. So like we just had to usher everybody out and just mingle, and everybody just, had a little impromptu mixer out afterwards, because they met some great people in that first timers orientation as well, which I'm assuming they kind of made a connection with and maintained a connection with throughout the convention. So it's a good way if it's your first time to attend that orientation, because it's really um, a great way to start the convention.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that scene too. That was quite the scene. There's always a lot of first timers there, and it's always good to make some friends and make some connections at the start of convention, right? Let's talk about mixers next. There's going to be a lot of different mixers Wednesday through basically Friday. Naomi, you want to take us through mixers?
Yeah, well, if you've been to convention before, I know for a lot of folks, the mixers are one of their favorite parts, not just because they have free fancy food usually, but because it's a great way to see a lot of folks that you might want to meet but might not have the opportunity to in other environments. So this is a great way to get to know different employers, find out who's who in their organizations, have a casual conversation, let them get to know you, and vice versa. And just, help build those connections, both, with organizations and companies that might be sponsoring convention, but also chapters have mixers as well. Our chapter will have one. Last year we had about 40 something at our chapter mixer, which was great. And Cody puts a plug in for the Northeast Regional Mixer, which is happening on Thursday evening. So there's going to be a lot of different chapter and AG and company mixers that you could take advantage of through the week. So don't worry too much about going out to dinner. You can stop by a mixer and get some free food.
It's a great way to put it. That's part of the strategy, right?
Yes.
So Naomi, I'll ask this question for folks who might not be familiar with this, but so you're president of the Seattle chapter. The Seattle chapter is having a mixer. If I'm not in the Seattle chapter, can I go to your mixer?
Of course, especially you,
Okay.
Frank.
Oh, well, thank you.
Oh man.
But no, everyone can come to the Seattle chapter mixer. Although, we're really hoping that our Seattle chapter and Northwest folks come so they can see who else is at convention and get to know people and help bridge some of those connections they might not be able to make on the day to day. So yeah, absolutely. Love to see you at our mixer, Frank.
Awesome. Thank you. So that'll be really exciting. I mean, I think Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is when all the mixers are happening, as Naomi and Rachel were saying. Hopefully they'll all be close by, I think. We've been working with all the chapters and AGs to kind of coordinate and centralize some of them as much as possible, just knowing that, Texas is a big state. It's a very car town, and is hot too. But from what I've been hearing from chapter leaders and AG leaders, it's going to be a lot of exciting venues to explore as well. And it's going to take a lot of logistical prowess to be able to get to a mixer and to others the same night, right? So it's going to be fun if you enjoyed that type of challenge. So look forward to that. One thing I also want to flag is opening reception, which is Wednesday evening. The way I see it is there's only a few events at convention where everybody is going to be all at once. What I mean by that, at least, is that there's no other counter programming. Opening reception is one of those, and there's only a few. It's Wednesday evening. If you are still on the fence about when to fly in, do your best to fly in before opening reception Wednesday evening, because opening reception is a great moment just to catch up, to meet new people ahead of the rest of the week. So definitely put a flag on that. I also want to give a shout out to something that we started 2 years ago. It's a group run that we have. Friday morning is this year's group run. Yes, it's going to be hot as hell. That's why we're starting at 7. Our hotel is really close to the river. They call it's kind of like a lake river. If you look at a map, it's really a river, but they call it a lake, right? We're going to run around the river. It's going to be beautiful. It's part of Team AAJ. Team AAJ is a group of your fellow members who are running the New York City Marathon and fundraising for AAJA. They've already raised over $60,000 in the last 2 years. We're going to have a group run to support them Friday morning. We had like 45 people attend last year. We do it at different paces. We usually take a very slow 10, 12-minute miles. So feel free to join us Friday morning for a group run. And then finally, I just want to say this. Once you register for convention, you can sign up, or you can download Guidebook, which is an app both on the Apple Store and the Android App Store, literally titled AAJ 2024 or AAJ 24. It has our full schedule, and you're able to connect with attendees who have already registered for convention through Guidebook. So if you're looking for when these mixers will be, when the programming that Naomi and Rachel mentioned, when those will be, as they are finalized, once we have a final schedule, it will all be on Guidebook. Okay. So make sure when you get your invite to download Guidebook, do it and check it out. And you can flag and create your calendar in Guidebook as well. Okay. So with that, let's talk about registering and room block. Naomi, if I could have you talk about how to register for convention.
Yeah. Well, for those who haven't registered for convention before, you'd want to start with creating an AAJ account, which is a free first step to get into convention. If you've already created an account in the past, you might need to reset your password, which is fine. One thing to note is that there's a big discount if you are a member. So I'm sure everyone in this call is a member, but if you're not, it's a great time to sign up or renew your membership so that you can make sure to take advantage of the discount that's available if you're a member for registration. And if you're going to register as a student, make sure you upload your proof of enrollment, which will be needed at the time of registration. I think Rachel put it in the chat, but I'll just put it in there again because it might not show up for the new people who just joined. But you can sign up at this link, aaj24.org. So it's a slightly different link than the main AAJ site. And that's how you can get yourself registered for convention.
Thank you. And then will you give us the reminder too of when they should register by and for what reason?
Yes, early bird. You want to be an early bird. So the deadline for early bird registration is June 19th. So next Friday. So it's a big discount. Let me just see. It's for members, it's $115 discount to register early. So definitely take advantage of that. It's a big savings.
$115. And that is big. So a regular member is $315 for early bird, student members $150.
Yeah.
Okay. So keep that in mind.
Sorry, that discounts for members, professional members, not student members.
Yeah. Keep it in mind. If you need impetus to register before next week, there it is. Okay. And then obviously, I mean, I'm assuming a lot of folks are coming from out of town to attend convention. How do you get a hotel or a place to stay in Austin. Rachel, can you talk us through that?
Yeah, so it's changing, our hotel blocks are changing so quickly every day as people register and secure spots. But last we checked, there are still rooms available at our hotel block, but it really depends on what nights you choose. So for instance, if there's a night in your attempted date that is already sold out, you're gonna come up empty. So you really now, because a lot of people have already registered, need to be strategic about when you will book a room. We do expect some rooms to open up, to free up. So if you can continue checking the site, that will be my recommendation or suggestion. An alternative we do have a convention Slack channel. If you're on our AAJ Slack, people have been talking about alternative places to stay, and there is a list over there, a good resource that's been dropped nearby for places nearby. And if you're looking for a roommate, there's several discussions of attendees looking for roommates and for people to room with to save costs for hotel rooms as well. So those are a few different resources and places that you could check in on.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Yes, so make sure to register by next week and look at hotel room block. Keep checking it if it's unavailable, but there's definitely a lot of alternative options as well near the Hilton Austin where the convention will be. Okay. So that was a little bit about registering the room block. Hopefully that was enough information for folks to know how to register. I want to just highlight something else, right? So the reason we have this programming today is to talk about programming ahead of Early Bird, right? We're also going to have another one of these webinars a few weeks before convention itself. The date that we have is July 23rd. It's about 2 weeks before convention. And what that webinar will focus on is more specifically to what to expect at convention, how to prepare, what to bring, right? How to dress, all these different things. We'll probably highlight some more programming then too, because the schedule will be more finalized by then too. But think of that as more, you're already coming. Here's what you can expect. Here's how you can prepare, right? This is really giving you whatever motivation you need, whatever ammunition you need to register for convention by next week. So expect another RSVP for that coming soon, but July 23rd, around this time in the evening, is when we're going to have another webinar like this. Okay. So I think that is our overview of convention. Naomi, Rachel, is there anything else you two would like to add about convention before we open it up to questions?
No, I'm just really excited. We have some OGs coming this year, some big names that a lot of you probably recognize. So yeah, we'll just keep an eye on that because exciting things are happening.
Naomi, any last words from you two before questions?
No, just I echo what Rachel said, and I think it's just we've put together a pretty awesome set of panels and workshops and programming, so it's going to be really good convention.
I agree. And thank you both for a lot of your work so far. You guys have been working on this for months. So it's exciting and also, you know, kind of scary that it's only just 57 days away, but we're going to get there and we're going to celebrate in Austin together. So along with the rest of y'all as well. So with that, let's open it up to some questions. We have time for questions. We don't have to hang out until the top of the hour. We can just answer as many questions as we have. So feel free, if you have questions, raise your hand, come off mute, and we'll get those questions answered.
An has a question in the chat. Where will this year's opening reception be held? It'll be on site. We have a pretty big space this year, and I know last year it was off-site and we had to walk a few blocks, and we acknowledge this year it's going to be hotter in Texas, so we'll keep you all indoors.
Other
Can you
questions?
mention who the keynote may be at the gala, or is that still under wraps?
We're waiting. We're gonna make that another surprise another time. Not today though, Curtis.
Okay, right.
Not making that news today though.
Great question, though, Curtis.
Yeah.
Great question.
Now you got me interested. See, it's like a hook, you know.
I mean, we already got you, right? Like you're already
Yeah.
registered, right, Curtis?
Yes, that's correct. I am. So,
Thank you. Other questions?
let me ask follow up then. So the gala will be in one big venue instead of the two that you had last year in Washington, or is that how's that shaping up?
I don't think we know quite exactly the setup yet,
Okay.
right? But I would expect more information about that
Mhm.
to attendees coming soon. Another question. Any sessions to talk about resource for journalists on visa? Yeah, Rachel and Naomi, would you like to take this one?
I can take it. We don't have a session on that, and I will say that one of the reasons I mean, that's something that we've been talking about, and something that we feel like could also be an off convention discussion or session, because again, AJA is not just here for convention, we're here all year round, and we do put out programmings all year round with our chapters, affinity groups, and really you as an individual can come up to AJA and bring these ideas and you know, say you want to do this session. But yes, if we have been hearing some people who have been seeking out this session, but I will say that I don't think we're well equipped and we don't have the resources to kind of put out this type of session. But if you want to, you know, organize a session off convention, outside of convention, we're here and we can help you with that.
Yeah, I think one of the toughest challenges of convention is we want to do everything, but we can't. So, but we also have to recognize there's 352 more days that we can do types of this in other forms as well. So, I know there's another question about programming too, and I'll get to Chris, and then we can answer that part of the question about if programming exists. But let's go to Chris's question first, and then we can go to Ons in the chat. Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering what you're expecting turnout to be. Because I understand, you know, like NBC has the Olympics that's happening up until the week of convention. So are we expecting turnout to be around what it was last year or LA level? Just wonder.
Yeah, good question. Naomi, I think you might have mentioned a little bit about this earlier. Do you want to take this one too? What we're expecting at
Yeah,
convention?
we're expecting about 1,500 people this year. So the LA convention, which if you were there, it was very large. That was the first convention after the shutdown, lockdown. So that was, I think, a lot of pent up demand for that convention. So this will be back to kind of more of the normal size for us, I think.
Yeah.
What was
Yeah,
LA's, what was LA's attendance? Do you remember?
it's around
It was
2,000.
almost 2,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and Chris, we know about the Olympics thing. I mean, finding dates in the summer is really hard. But also recognizing that, you know, there's some people who will never be able to make it because of sports and things like that. And sports is yet a subset of, you know, greater AAJ too. So we just had to do our best and kind of pick a date that
Honestly,
works.
I lucked out because I was supposed to cover both conventions this year and I don't have to now. So
You did luck out. So glad to be able to see you at convention this year, Chris. On any sessions on newsroom leadership and LGBTQ issues. Rachel and Naomi, when you want to take this one?
I could take the LGBTQ one. So we do have a session called Beyond the Binary, which is focused on coverage of transgender communities and non-binary communities. And I'm really excited about that panel as well. We're going to have folks from the Transgender Journalists Association and other folks that are working across the country on trying to improve coverage of trans and gender non-binary communities so that you can all do better. So that's going to be a really good one, I think.
Very good. Thanks for the question. On what accommodations can members expect in terms of accessibility? Good question. I know we are very keen on accessibility needs. Cody, please email cpc@aaj.org, and we can get a better response than the one that we can give here live. Okay. Any other
There
questions?
was another part to An's question, which is on newsroom leadership. We do have a couple. There's conversations happening on one. So aside from like the ELP invite only workshops, we have an Asian woman news leaders session that's highlighting really our women leadership with members who are leading up newsrooms. And then there are discussions from sponsors on newsroom leadership. So we'll have more information on that soon.
Yeah, sorry I missed that part of the question on and thanks for flagging that, Rachel. We're keenly aware that we have, you know, a lot of pitches for earlier career programming. So knowing, you know, the problem is half towards solving it. So we definitely have a bit more mid-career senior level programming this year that you can look forward to. Do we already know where the 25 convention will be held? Yes, I know. What'd you say?
Embargoed.
Oh, I thought you said Fargo. Oh, I was like, I cannot confirm nor deny it's in Fargo.
No, it's embargoed.
Okay, it's embargoed. Yes, it's embargoed. But you will find out if you come to convention. So if that's impetus, you need to register before early bird. There you go. So yeah, look forward to that. It'll be really exciting. But cannot confirm nor deny it's in Fargo. Okay. Any other questions? Great questions so far. I sense the excitement. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, we can wrap this up. Kind of the next steps here are, right? We talked about the newsletter, right? You should watch you could look at the newsletter, right? Rolling programming through there. Slack channel, if you're an AAJ member, join convention. The channel is literally called convention, right? A lot of people are in there. Feel free to ask questions in there, right? Yeah, we're looking forward to it. If you are on those two things, you should not miss any details, right? The newsletter, the Slack channel. But other than that, thanks for joining tonight, and see y'all in Austin soon. Okay. All right. Bye, y'all. Thank you.